Hello friends, today I'm playing with something kind of fun. It had been a while since I had visited a seascape. I used to paint these a lot and I wanted to share it with you. So this is just a little practice one I did, and fun. I'm going to be painting the entire thing with a dagger brush. If you haven't watched my brush strokes with a dagger, I'll link that below and it'll just go through some of the brush strokes that you can create with this fun little brush. Compound strokes, look at the palm tree, which we're going to be doing, mountains. So it's really a fun little brush to use, and it's pretty versatile. So let me go through quickly here, just so we can do a little bit of practice. I'm using, this is just my sketchbook. When I start painting here, I'm going to use my Meeden 140-pound cold press. But let me just show you a couple of the brush strokes. So I'm going to go into that blue. And for some of these really thin strokes, like on the palm trees, I'm basically just holding my brush on its side versus flat. And I'm just dabbing. Look how easy that is. And then for some of the little waves and things, I'm using more of a compound stroke, which would be point the tip and then pressing it, pulling it down on its side and back. Doesn't that just look like a wave? So fun, right? And then I've got some of those in here where I'm point press and then lift up, point press and lift up, and it just looks like these little waves. So those are going to be the brush strokes. The other one that I will use for the background here is going to be just the side of my brush. So I'm going to pull it across. Look at that beautiful wash. Now this is just on sketch paper, so it's not going to blend as nicely as it will on our watercolor paper, because this is just regular old paper. And then maybe a little at the bottom here. Isn't that so pretty? So let's get started. Again, I'm using my student grade My Lang paints because, you know, I love these paints and could not say more about them for the beginner. Number one, for the price point. They're just really creamy and vibrant, and I love you don't have to mix colors. For the beginner, that can be a bit overwhelming when you're just learning brush strokes. And the first thing you want to do, if you know all of this, you can just fast forward. Look at how beautiful, by the way, that is. We just want to give them a little spritz with your sprayer just to get them activated. You don't want to create puddles in there. You just want to get them wet. So pans are going to be very hard, but as soon as you spray them, you activate them, give them a few minutes, and they're ready to go. All right, my Meeden paper here, but you can absolutely use those Artisto pads. You know I love. Don't have one here. I thought I might be painting a little bit with a little bit more wetness. So this Meeden is sealed on all four sides. It's referred to as a block. When you're done painting, one side is open and you just slip. I use a palette knife. You can slip a credit card. They actually even give you this handy little gizmo here that you can slide in there, and then it just separates it from the block. But what it does is when you're working with a lot of wetness or water, it's going to keep it from warping. And this is 140-pound cold press. It has a great texture, so I love Meeden. I also love the Artisto pads. You know, I journal all them, and those are great too. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start with the background first. So let's go into our yellow. Got all kinds of fun stuff on my desk here. Oh, the other thing I'm going to use, and you'll see for some of the sparkles on the waves, is this beautiful MABs. This is the Mirror series. So look at that sparkle. I thought we'd use that. Let me show you my little practice here. What did I do with it? I don't know if you can see it on here, but look how beautiful. it's got some sparkle to the tops of the waves. So we're gonna do that too. So fun, right? All right, let's get our paints ready. I'm going to grab some of that yellow. This is the Cad Yellow if you're using the My Lang set. I wanna have these ready to go in my palette. Now my Cad Yellow looks like it has a little bit of green in there. So I'm gonna try and stay up in this area so I don't mix that. And then I will have a little bit of the orange here. That's a Cad orange. So I've got that ready to go, because when you are working wet and wet, you want to make sure you've got your paints ready to go. Otherwise, by the time you mix a paint or grab a paint, this could be dry, and then you're not working wet and wet anymore. You're working wet into dry, or you might even be working wet into damp, which is going to create a bloom. Okay, let's see, maybe a little bit of that orangey red for the very bottom of our sunset. So let's put that in here. Maybe right here. That's kind of a pinkish color, but that's okay. There we go. And this, the brush in particular, and then I've got my 2 containers of water, by the way, 1 to wash, 1 to rinse, really important. The brush I'm using is a Dagger. This is the number 10. It's by Zen Art. I actually really like it. It's quite soft. And I'll just give you a little hint. When my subscription boxes come out, I'm really using a variety of brushes, soft ones, snappier ones, all different fun type of sizes, because I want you to be able to play with them all and figure out your favorite. So I have wet my brush, and then I just kind of scraped it off a bit, and we're going to go into that yellow. So let me pick that yellow up, kind of avoiding the green in there. And this Cad yellow is quite bright, so I can use some water here, pulling it down. We're going to create, this is a variegated wash, and I just want to soften all those edges there. Maybe I'll even use a tiny bit of tissue and soften all those edges. There we go. And we keep going down, and then we'll start adding in some orange. Soften this edge down here until it's almost just white. Now I'm going to go in before that dries with some of our orange and adding that in, and look how beautiful that blends. See that? Because I'm using the same wetness, and then I'm going to pull out this line. There we go. And now we'll add in just a tiny bit of that red we've got there. I just want a little bit. I don't want too much. There we go. And I don't want to keep working this either. So just softening those lines, and look at the beautiful transition. You can always hold your paper up too, and it'll kind of help it blend. And then I just want to bring out, soften this line so we don't have a line there. There we go. So look at that beautiful, doesn't it look like, I'm not a drinker, but a tequila sunrise. Remember those drinks, and they had the layers in them? That's what that reminds me of. All right. So with that being done, I'm just going to take my little handy dandy heat gun. These are about $15. I use them a lot because especially in the winter, it gets dry or cold here and things take a while to dry. I'm just going to give this a quick shot here. So let's get that dry. And I can tell it's drying because it will get lighter in color. Watercolors lighten up. That's probably good enough. Yeah, that feels pretty dry. All right, now we're gonna go in with our handy dandy dagger. This brush is so cool, you guys. And let's go in with our blue. So I'm going to use, I think this is just the ultramarine blue, but I do kind of like a bit of the turquoisey blue too. So I'm gonna put that on one side, and then maybe on the other side, we'll use a bit of that kind of turkey blue type color. Let's see, I don't want too much. Maybe we should use I think this one is called Sky Blue. Just so we have a couple, ooh yeah, see how pretty that is? So we have a couple different colors in our water, and it's okay if they blend a bit. All right, rinsing my brush, scraping it off, and let's go in and start laying down our blue. Now in the back, it's gonna be darker, so using the side of my brush. And I'm getting some dry brush here, which I am perfectly fine with. I love that. I actually want that. So I'm not loading my brush with more water. I'm just letting it create these white spaces because I feel like that is going to look like sparkles on the water. And if I had left more yellow in here, it would actually even look like the sunset coming down. So if you want to do that on yours, I think that would be really pretty. I've done that before, just didn't really think about it here. Now I'm going to use just the tip of my brush to go in and add just a little bit of dark blue in the background here. Because you want the background to be darker than the foreground. Just like that. And there you go. Look at that already. Look how pretty, look how easy. You guys can do this. All right, so now that that's almost dry, I'm gonna give it again another little shot here. And actually, you know what? Why don't we add a little bit of brown down here for maybe some sand? So I'll get a little bit of that on my brush. I want it to be more of a dry brush. So I've got some of that paint on my brush, but I'm going to soak up some of that water because I want the dry brush effect. There we go. Like that. And that can look like some sand here. So you can hear I'm kind of scraping my brush on that dry brush effect. And then let's give it a quick shot with the heat gun here. I can also tell when it's dry because it will lay flat. There we go. All right. Now what I want to do here is go in and I'm going to put, I've got some white gouache here. This is the titanium white. And I'm just going to load the side of my brush. Like that. So I've got the tip of my brush. And now I'm gonna go in and start laying down some of those little waves like we've got here. Just keeping it really simple. And here we go. So light pressure. Like this. And it just looks like nice rolling waves. Just dabbing them in. Maybe some rolling waves over. And now, really, as you move towards the front, you'd want those waves to be bigger. So in the back, they might be really thin. I even like that dry brush because it looks like a wave crashing. And then as you move forward, just make your waves a little bit bigger. And look at how fun that is with the dry brush. There you go. All right, isn't that fun? I mean, look at how easy that is already with this little brush. So I'm using the brush sideways, but then I'm pulling it downwards. Now I'm gonna go into with a little bit of a dark blue. So I'm gonna probably use my maybe even Prussian blue and just go into the bottom of those. And create some depth there. So it just looks like a shadow on the wave, like that. And now for the piece de la, let's see, how do you say that? Piece de la résistance, right? I took French, you guys, for several years. That is the hardest language. And all of my poor French friends, I apologize to you because I still cannot speak that beautiful French language that you all have. It's so beautiful. So this is the MABs. This is the Mirror series. She actually does have an Ocean series, but I'm going to use this one, and I'm just going to add some highlights to the top now. I added the dark to the bottom. Now I'm going to add some little sparkles on top. So I'm using that beautiful chisel edge. Make sure and watch my brush strokes with the dagger. And just, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Is that the coolest? Right along the top. Oh my gosh, you guys, you are going to want to do pages and pages of these. I forgot how fun this is. I used to paint all the time seascapes, and we're not even done. We're going to do a fun palm tree in here too. So point press. And you could even do some dry brush in here, so not too much water on your brush. Look at that. Oh my gosh. How beautiful is this? Let me show that to you. Isn't that so fun? Okay, now wash and rinse your brush, and we're gonna go into brown for some palm trees here. This should be dry. So now let's create our little trunk here. Just pulling it out a little bit. And then maybe one coming here. Just like that. See? Oh my gosh, is this so fun, you guys? I hope you all try this. Now, this is where, boy, this brush is amazing. Go into your, let's see, let's create a green here. I've actually got some in this little palette. So I'm gonna go into, this is probably, my go-to green is typically a sap green and a little bit of olive green. I've got some yellow green there. And let's go in and create some palm fronds. I guess you call it. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? Well, let's do a couple palm fronds first. Side of my brush. I mean, look at that beautiful tip you can get. And now the fun part. We're just tapping in. You can make these kind of bend over like that. Look how fun that is. Oh my gosh, so fun. Let's see, what other color? Maybe add some to this. I mean, look how easy I did that. And I'm going to just mix a little bit of that brown maybe in there so it doesn't quite end so abruptly at just that little stub. Such a fun little painting. You guys are gonna do so well at this. Here we go, just keep adding those in and maybe use, you know, different colors. So maybe we could go into, let's use a little bit of the yellow ochre, just to maybe create some interest here. By the way, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out my Patreon, because I'm pretty excited about that. I did the Patreon because you guys were like, do you have a Patreon? And I was like, oh, that freaked me out because I'm not a tech person. Ooh. But I have had some help with it and it is now ready to go. Actually, if you're listening to this in real time, it's actually not even going to be ready till this weekend. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of that yellowy green. Just because I want some different greens in here. And overlapping them. Oh my gosh, so fun. Let's keep going here. Maybe have some coming down in the background here. And I could actually use that little point. But look how easy. And this was all done with this fun little dagger point. I think I'll do one coming down in the background here. Oop, let me grab my dark green. A little bit more water. Have a couple coming down here. I mean, you could keep going here as long as you want. I love the little droopy ones. Add some in the background here. So I'm making them a little bit darker color. And look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Look at the shimmer. You could always put the little sunset in the sun, rather, in the background if you want. I didn't do that. You could put little seagulls. Let's see. Just for some interest there. I mean, so easy, you guys. You could totally do this. I have faith in you. This Dagger Brush makes it so simple. So there you go. I hope you give this a try and really have some fun with it. I just enjoy these things so much. I just now loaded my brush with some yellow because I wanted to add some contrast in the colors here. But, you know, use your colors. There's no rules in nature. Nature creates its own rules. I darkened up that little palm frond just to make it pop out. Now I'm probably getting carried away with my palm fronds. It's so fun with this brush. Oh, and you know what? Let's create a little bit of a highlight on this tree trunk. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of that white and create, that's pretty white. You could actually dull that down just a bit with maybe some of your yellow ochre, like that. But you guys, you can totally do this. I hope you'll try, and I hope you will share this with me either via email or on our Patreon site. You can, there's free things on there as well, and you could get on there and just share some of the things that you're doing. I'd love to see it. Oh, so fun. All right, everybody, I am done. Give this a try, and I hope you have fun with this. All right, happy painting.